Hello, and welcome to the
Hello.
Humanity, where we do the things with the stuff for the people. I am Matt.
And I'm Tommy, and tonight we're joined once again by special guest Kiffany Haase. So, welcome back to the show.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
so tonight discussing the topic of forgiveness, seeing like what we think about it, what it means, how
Mhm.
you do it, is it important, all that. See if Kiff here still thinks forgiveness is important and something she can do after I tell her what Matt told me about her last week. Just kidding.
Uh-oh.
I was like, I don't remember.
Mm.
Sorry, that was
If it
just
was that, yeah, I was going to say you would remember, believe me.
but yeah.
Well, I need to say, like, I, speaking of things to forgive or I want to get out of my head, I did just see clips of that Donald Trump Gaza video you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Tell me.
I I think this is hell. Like it it's so dystopian.
I'm
And
telling you, and he reposted it, so it's not like he's, that isn't
yeah,
aware of it.
it's like
So,
the people on the left were right, but like it's bad how right we were.
yeah,
It's,
like
yeah,
it's
it's
real
kind of
bad.
frightening.
yeah, I've never hated being so right before, but yeah,
Yeah.
at least I don't think.
That's it.
Yeah,
So that's an
yeah.
interesting thing to bring into forgiveness. And how
Mhm.
do you forgive people? Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen that, so I
I
don't
think
know
so.
if I want you to fill me in on the contents of that. But yeah, we'll see
Mm.
once we get to that. But first, so this is something I like. It just occurred to me today. So people who've been watching the show for a while, just this year we started kind of a slightly new ish format kind of thing because some of the feedback we've been getting about the show is like, you guys say some great stuff, but it's just like so long and like, I mean, even people like they understand, we got the ADHDs and all that, so we tend to ramble and stuff. And episodes. I think our first couple episodes were able to keep it kind of around 2 hours. I think some of them were actually under 2 hours. I still have no idea how we did that, but then they just kept getting longer and longer. And I think actually our last episode with Kiff that might have been one of our longest. It was about
Yeah.
4 hours, which
Yeah, that's my
it,
bad. I'll just
it
talk forever,
well, but like I said, like it flew by. Like I didn't even notice till I looked up at the clock. I'm like, oh, but it was fun. But so we thought, yeah,
My wife actually likes the way your show is because she's got neurodivergencies and
uh,
how you
yeah,
guys bounce it. It makes sense to her, so she's like, I don't see a
Well, good.
problem.
Good.
yeah, that's good. But
Yeah.
but we because so we were talking about, okay, first of all, is this something we want to try to do something about or not? Because we'd also talked about the idea of make like after the episode just like editing out little clips and like posting like shorter bits of it later, but we're like, that's like work.
Yeah, I
And
want
part of the
to.
reason
I don't know if I will.
Yeah, work.
part of the reason we do it this way is because like it's like super simple. We just like hop on. Well, I was about to say it's super simple to like hop on and like just start chatting, but like obviously technical difficulties we were having earlier, so it's not always that easy. But yeah, we're here. But as far as doing the show, it's like we just get together and just talk about stuff. Like we do a little bit as far as like show prep, but that's usually just, hey, what do you want to talk about tonight? Topic X. I'm like, oh,
Well,
okay.
and it's
There's
usually related to something
Right.
we've been
yeah,
watching or thinking about.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of times we're like, hey, I just watched this video today about this topic and it's on my mind. So let's talk about it, like that kind of stuff. But so we're like, okay, but we still would like, I mean, obviously we don't have any plans about this like blowing up to the point where we get like millions of followers and are like making any money off of it. But I mean, still, if people want to donate, that's fine. I saw it in one of our streams we did. I think it was the one we did with Jamel. I guess someone that was a follower of his like was watching and they like sent us stars on Facebook. I still don't actually know exactly what that means, but I think it's one of those things. If enough people send you enough stars, you can like cash them out into like actual money. But it was like
Oh, is that what that's for?
Or, yeah, I guess. But I guess it was like,
it sounds like witchcraft.
yeah. So I was like, so I saw you got a star from so. Sorry, I wish I could remember your name. The one person who actually sent us stars, but but anyway, all that to say, like, but so we don't have like it's not like we're planning on making the show like big for like those kind of reasons, but it's still something. I mean, we're doing it, and for what little effort we are putting into it, it'd be nice if more
we
people
could probably
did. It'd
use
be cool.
like appropriate hashtags and whatnot to get it further.
Yeah.
Also, if we didn't cuss in the first like 6 minutes or talk about beer, like that would probably help.
Yeah, I guess. But I was like, but it's still obviously like we like the things we're talking about. It seems like the people who do watch it tend to enjoy it. So it would be cool if more people were watching it. So we're like trying to think of like some kind of compromise. Basically, what we came up with was this is actually an idea I got from my therapist. So I guess she like doubles as a social media consultant, which is cool. But she said maybe like try to spend like the first like half of the show like much more focused on the topic, and then after that do like our usual banter and stuff. Because I told her like part of the reason it's like this is like me and Matt still like actually get together like in person and like hang out every now and then, but like for the most part like this is our hangout time. And she just kind of laughs. She's like, that is such a neurodivergent way to hang out with your friends. And I'm like, yep. Yeah. So anyway, so then we kind of turned that concept into the first drink, second drink, where first drink is like the topic, and we still, if people have watched the show, we still do our signature ramblings, even while we're a little more focused. And then the second drink is just where we just talk about whatever, whether it's some more thoughts on the initial topic or just things completely unrelated. But then it occurred to me, is like, we haven't done this format like with a guest before. So I never quite decided if we wanted to kind of keep that or just say, fuck it and talk. And
so what if we use it like as like an option, and we'll see if our brains like that option as things go on.
Ooh. All right, yes, I'll consult my brain in about an hour and see what I think. Well, anyway, so I guess. Well, all right, we'll see. That's all right. He'll be at least slightly inebriated by then, so maybe he won't care. But speaking of that,
wait, you talking about me?
Whatever.
I'm very wiggly tonight.
I'll talk about my brain.
Oh, okay.
I think we could all be talking about completely different. Part of me would actually love it if we were all three talking about something completely different, but we were successfully having a conversation anyway.
Oh,
I've done that with people before. It's very bizarre.
That happened in our sleep. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
Eric Barnes. We had too much to drink. We were spend the night at Tommy's future's ex-wife's house.
Yeah, then girlfriend. Yeah, but this was like on New Year's or something. So we were all like, we're all just going to sleep here. So it was, so Matt, our other friend, also former guest, Eric Barnes, and then another friend of ours named Eric. They were all asleep on the living room floor. And I guess one of my then girlfriend's roommates, like she was still awake after they all went to sleep. So she just like sat in the room because I guess they were all talking in their sleep. And one of you just like,
Barnes goes, Sherbert, in his sleep.
Yeah.
But then I heard that, and then because I had a memory of this, but I thought it was totally normal at the time when it happened because I was half asleep. But so Barnes said Sherbert, and then the other Eric goes, what? I said, don't worry about it. But I thought I was responding to something different.
Yeah. Well, speaking of responding, I would like to respond to this. Hey, y'all. Hey, Matt. Speaking of Matts, I don't know if I'm familiar with Matt Thompson. So sorry if you're like in a long time. What's that?
He's been in Asylum.
Oh, okay.
I've known him for like over 20 years, and I think he's watched your show.
Oh, awesome.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Matt's good people.
Hello, good people.
Good people.
We like good people. So good people. What? Speaking of first drink, what are we drinking tonight? Start with you, Matt.
Oh, I threw the can, smashed it in trash already. Whoops. It's a Voodoo Ranger. I don't know. They're tropical double IPA
Ah,
or juicy. It's that one that tastes like fake flavors.
yeah,
But I had one left, so
yeah. Well, got to get through it somehow, I guess. All right.
Poor
How
thing.
about you, Kiff? Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
muddle
nothing.
through.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just cheating a little bit with soda. I can't do booze tonight. Like I said, I was gonna,
Oh,
but yeah, not tonight.
yeah. Oh,
Well,
good.
no peer
Sorry.
pressure.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, like it was a great excuse
Sorry.
to have a drink, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I guess when I said "oh, good," I realized that didn't really match what you just said. I think in my mind, I was reacting to what Matt says. Like, I'm Kiffany's friend. I'm like, good. I'm glad Matt agrees. That'd be really awkward if you said, "Oh, yeah, I've known him for 20 years," and he's like, "I don't like who's Kiffany."
I barely know her.
Right?
Oh.
That'd be my luck
Oh.
anyway, right?
Oh, now this is something that I'm glad Matt's doing it. This is something like we wish more people would comment. Like we'd love to know what you're drinking as well. It's not just us here like on camera.
Exactly.
You can only share what we drink. So yeah, good ice water. Smart choice. Staying hydrated.
I don't know why the ice water made me think of this, but I think I want to try Capri Sun with vodka sometime.
Mm.
Yep.
I don't know why that made you think of that either.
Nope. Don't know.
Well, I'm glad it did. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, which vodka?
I think it would be best if you could find some way to still have it like in like the Capri Sun pouch, like just get like
Right,
a
that's what
tiny
I'm thinking.
funnel to like pour the vodka in, so you're still
Mhm.
drinking it out of the pouch. That would be good. But so tonight, I'm actually pretty excited about my drink tonight because it is here in Cincinnati. You know, with our baseball team being the Reds, this is one of the few things I look forward to about baseball season, and that's so a bunch of our local breweries have their like baseball season beer, and this is my not only my favorite like baseball season beer, but maybe my favorite beer made in Cincinnati from Mad Tree Rounding Third Red IPA. So,
Well, it's a baseball beer. I'll give it a pass. Are you a Reds fan?
I mean, yeah.
I
kind of by default, I guess, but
yeah, I'm a Reds fan in the same way some people like are like they're culturally Catholic. I'm culturally a Reds fan.
Do you have a baseball team you like though, or is that just?
I
have nostalgia for the Reds, and I literally do not care about any other baseball team.
Yeah, that's like I'm not super into baseball. It's not something I follow. Like I do enjoy going to games.
Oh, okay.
Like that's still fun to do, but yeah,
like I miss the shitty old Riverfront Stadium.
Yeah, that was good times.
Looked like it was designed by like engineers on cocaine. It was just like circle and like diamond. It was just it was like brutalist in a very 80s way.
Yeah. Well, that's because they also shared it with the Bengals. Like, so it was a baseball and football stadium.
Yeah, it was a transforming stadium.
Yeah. Now I think like, especially like when you're coming like down the hill from Kentucky, when you get that big like wide view of downtown, I thought downtown looked better with Riverfront there than it does with the two stadiums now. But
yeah, I agree.
That's what I miss. So I guess speaking of segues, feeling like I don't know if I forgive the city of Cincinnati for tearing down. This is a terrible segue. Somebody please help me. I'm floundering.
So yeah, forgiveness. I forget. On the sports thing, I forgive the Hamilton County for taxing us for the stadium and then charging like just a shit ton of money for tickets. Like,
yeah,
and you can't watch it on TV unless it's sold out or something. And then, but like, we're also paying taxes. and then you need enough people buying tickets before we're allowed to watch it on TV, even though we paid for the stadium.
Yeah, but fortunately, like I don't remember there ever actually being any blackouts, because usually what would happen, like if it wasn't a sellout, like just like whatever local network was going to be airing it would just buy the rest of the tickets so they could show it and make money.
What a racket!
Yeah.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
They do it on purpose. So you'll spend more money. Yeah.
Oh well. So
no matter what, they get a sellout game every time.
Well, see, I heard that. I to be honest, I don't know how actually true that is. All I know is like I don't remember there ever being a blackout. So
yeah.
But yeah. All right. So
wow,
man, my segue completely failed.
So talking about forgiveness, how do we get into this? How do we ease into this?
Well, maybe I'll start with, and I don't know if this is really the best way to start a conversation on it, but as I was thinking about forgiveness, one of the things that was actually kind of like top of mind for me was really just how, and maybe this has to do with like my neurodivergences. Like I think I've shared recently, I haven't been officially diagnosed, and like my therapist, she said like she can't officially say, but I think like in her like I can't say but I'm saying kind of way, like sounds like I'm pretty definitely autistic, which was actually kind of cool to find out because it explains so much. But I remember, and so now like knowing that and then thinking back to like my time, thinking back to my time like growing up like in the church, like in especially like very like fundamentalist Christianity, like how much of it seemed like I just didn't like understand, especially when it came to more like relational and like social aspects of it. So like even like now, like it's hard. Like I don't know if I could even like explain. Like I could maybe like define forgiveness for somebody, but like when it comes to like what does it actually mean like to forgive someone, like as far as like if you want to call it like the mechanism of it, or like what is actually going on in your head or in your heart or your soul or wherever it's happening, like
oh damn, I don't think I know either.
Kiff, you got any clue or
in this day and age, yeah, maybe not anymore, but right. I guess when it comes to forgiveness, I think it seems like it's so like such a powerful word, right? Like if you forgive somebody, like I pardon you kind of stuff. But I think before you can even understand, should we have it, who deserves it, whatever, I think you first have to go back and ask yourself, what is forgiveness? What does that mean? What does that entail? Well, one thing I know for sure is forgiveness is not forgetting. That's impossible.
Yeah.
And so many times, but so many times, like especially the Christian, I'm speaking from the Christian faith that I have learned and where I am now, but they teach like, forgiveness and God forgives you from the east until the east and west meet, which is nowhere. It's never brought up. It's gone. It's forgotten. And yeah, we're supposed to forgive like that. And that's impossible. That's just impossible for a human being because our subconscious is holding it forever. So there's no way. So we know that forgiveness first starts with it's not forgetting. So then what does it mean? So I've learned from myself, my personal self, is just choosing not to use that transgression against that person or over their head or use it in a way to hurt them. And that's where it begins. Like
not holding it against them anymore.
Yeah, and not using it against them either. Like, it's always throwing it in their face. And, does that make sense? Right. It's like, okay, I can't forget what you did to me, but I can not use this against you going forward. And that's, I think, where the basis of forgiveness begins. Now, with that being said, then the next part becomes, well, then what is forgivable? And how will I know that they meant it? Is that a part of it? Have they repented to me? Have they said sorry to me? Have they made amends to me? Or am I to just say, I'm to forgive you? I mean, it's a very complex thing you're talking about here. Forgiveness is not simple. It runs deep, and our scars are even deeper, right? So can you forgive? And I reflect the Scripture. And what I've gotten out of Scripture is this. There are some things that in this world that are just not forgivable. Because if that's what we're held to the account of what God believes, because God said that there is an unforgivable sin, blasphemy of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's in
but
there.
before you get to that Scripture, if he was so forgiving, then why did he blow up cities?
Right.
Why did he flood the earth if he's so forgiving? And in Christian, well, mankind did. No. If forgiveness is forgiveness, then why did he do it? So there comes a certain point and a certain transgression that is, I believe, is just not forgivable. I mean, there's a lot of extreme shit out there, right? So to say you have to forgive it all is almost impossible to do so.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something that in Christianity, I think that's taught, that it's one of those things that sounds like really good, but can turn into something like incredibly like toxic and harmful. Just this idea is like, no, you have to forgive absolutely everybody of absolutely everything. And
no, you don't. No, you don't.
Right.
Not if we're held to what God says.
Yeah, there was.
Right.
Do you guys remember?
But
okay.
There's another part too. Because there's so much to forgiveness. Also, is if you hold that in you, the bitterness, the anger, and the hurt, and you can't get to a point of forgiveness, I mean, look what it does to you. So I think by learning to be able to move past and forgive, not forget, does a lot for your soul. I think you let a lot of it, and it may never come, because some transgressions are just horrible, unforgivable. Even Scripture, if you hurt a child, put a milestone, and it'd be better for you for that. So,
right.
I think it's on the individual for like your inner healing to get to a point, and I believe this is just for me, but this is what I've learned. What the fuck happened to that person or the situation to make them do whatever to me? And that takes a long journey, because you're like, well, they're just an asshole. Well, no, kids aren't just born assholes. Come on now. Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're little turds at times. I've had kids, man. I know they can be buttholes at times. But it's you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I don't know if that makes sense. But.
Yeah, at least once they're born. Now this is like being like super like pedantic and literal about it, but it's more just by the way of like fun fact that I just recently learned about like human development. Like when we're born, that actually like we're what's called like a deuterostome. It basically means like, one way you can look at the human body is basically it's just a tube with two ends that happens to have like limbs and a head, because that's basically like the first part that forms is literally the end of the tube that ends up being our anus. So we're literally like when we first start developing, we're assholes. Now the rest
you may have a point. I mean, you look around the world today, it's probably true. But
yeah, but once we're born, we're
all assholes with accessories, basically.
But then again, what about the also the self-forgiveness too? So
no, that's huge.
Yeah,
that takes a while.
I had somebody once say that I don't agree with him. I didn't at the time either. Talking about self-forgiveness is contrary to God's will, because we should just accept God's forgiveness. We should just agree with him that we're forgiven. And they would not talk about self-forgiveness. And clearly, like knowing what they were going through, they needed self-forgiveness a lot.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that too. I don't remember who it was, but yeah. And I think I remember also.
It's important. It's like without it, you just carry that guilt around, and it's like that's that religious guilt. And
well,
can you ever really move forward in your own life if you live walking around like that?
Yeah, because I guess at least from what I remember,
at least not even trying to,
Yeah, I guess from what I remember, kind of the point behind this, or it's supposed to be like, well, I don't know if it was supposed to be related to something like, well, only God can like truly forgive. So it's like you can't forgive yourself. You just have to accept his forgiveness. So it's almost like, so then you can still move forward from it, but knowing that it's like just from him, but not from yourself, which again, like
it's like a turducken of forgiveness.
Yeah. The turducken of forgiveness. That's
right.
That should be a thing.
You store that right next to the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Now, real quick before we go, and I realized something I forgot to do, which was so, like I said, Kiff has been on the show before, and I understand like Matt is familiar with you, but also totally forgot to give you a chance, if you want to take it, to just give some sort of like introduction to yourself, like who you are. If you want to say like from like a spiritual standpoint, like where you're coming from, where you are, up to you.
Actually, I'm here to learn from you guys, so that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's just, I'm just me, little old me, hanging out in Arizona. Finally feeling at home. The weather's beautiful.
Yeah.
God, I love it. Oh, my hands feel so much better. We're in South Tempe.
Oh, I vacationed once in Phoenix. And
Phoenix.
Yeah, Tempe's real close. Isn't it
basically
the other half of Phoenix?
We're like 15 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
South.
Phoenix and Tempe, like it's like two different halves of the same like metroplex area.
Dude, this whole thing is a freaking metroplex. Are you kidding me? This place is massive. Man, it's a lot bigger than I remember when I was here before, as a kid.
Have you gone up on Camelback Mountain?
No, that's up north.
You can see a lot of the city from up there because it's super flat except for like these mountains that just like pop up out of nowhere.
Dude, just the county that we're in, Maricopa, has like 3.9 million people just in that county. It's unbelievable. It's huge.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful.
Yeah, when I was little, we used to go out to Phoenix. That's because like my dad's sister and her family used to live out there. But then when I was like in high school or something, they moved back to Cincinnati, which I found very disappointing. It's like, I mean, it's nice to actually see you guys more often, but I missed the excuse to go out to Arizona. But, oh well.
Yeah, I'm not missing the snow, the cold, the ice, none of it. Not at all.
Yeah.
So we're
I was about to say, fortunately, today here in Cincinnati was around 60, which is odd for February. But grand scheme of things, that's not really very fortunately that it was that warm in February. But
no, it'll probably get cold.
Beside the point.
Or it won't. It rained in Antarctica recently. In the North Pole.
I forgot. I think we were like 89 today or something like that. 85 or something. Yeah, no. It's like 89 was almost a record today.
Wow.
It feels great. I was trying to look, but I can't see it. But it's great. It's really warm already.
It rains like once a year, something like that.
Yeah, for a few minutes.
And everybody has a car accident. That's what I was told.
Dude, like, yeah.
They're like, my wipers are all crusty and everything.
Right, man.
I like how you started to be like, oh, well, yeah.
We were watching the news, during the winter, and they're like, Flagstaff and stuff, they get some pretty good snow,
Yeah.
But nothing like where we live. They're like, yeah, we got a 6 to 8 inch dump coming. I'm like, we got that every week in March and April in Colorado. So I just kind of laugh. We're like, and they cancel school when there's like 2 inches of snow. It's just funny. Really?
Imagine, yeah.
God.
Yeah. I mean, here in like Cincinnati, we cancel it for snow, but we also cancel it just when it's too cold. But
that makes sense. But
yeah,
a couple inches. I just laugh.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is like here in Cincinnati, it's like obviously it's not to the extremes that you'll get. Like, we're not as snowy as like Minnesota, we're not as hot as Texas or Florida or Arizona or whatever. But in the summer, it still gets pretty hot. And in the winter, it still gets pretty cold. So it's like we go both directions so much that like we never get enough of one type of weather to really get used to it. So like
we're always
like when it gets
the weather.
They're constantly changing bipolar weather.
Yeah, so it's like when it gets hot, we're freaking out because it's so hot, but then in the winter, we're freaking out because it's so cold now. And it's like,
Yeah, we'll
so
have
we
like a
just
really
don't know what
dry
to
heat
do.
for a little bit, and then it'll have like
Yeah.
swampy heat, and then
Yeah.
and so we're
Oh
like
yeah.
pick that the grass is browning out when it's a dry heat, and then like it's super humid that like you just go outside and you like feel like you're in a pool, and
Yeah, like the humidity never hit me, and it's almost like literally hit me. Like when I was in college, I went to Guatemala for a couple of weeks, and we were like up like higher in the mountains, where the air was a lot thinner. And this was in like June or something, so it was still warm, but not very humid. But then when we got back to Cincinnati, literally when we walked out, like it felt like you were walking into something.
yeah,
Like it was so humid. Like we all like I remember the whole group as soon as we walked outside, like we all like collectively went like really loud.
I liked it.
It was hilarious.
I was like, oh, it's like a warm blanket of just wetness.
No can do. Humidity and I do not get along at all. We are not friends at all.
It's not good for
Yeah.
allergies.
So,
at all.
but I do forgive Mother Nature for trying to kill everybody with it. You know?
Way to bring us back. I appreciate it. I was actually in the middle of thinking, how are we going to bring this back? But yeah, thanks. Kid.
Oh, you're welcome. So yeah, I was thinking as well too that there's even another part is now that you've kind of defined what forgiveness isn't and what it might be and how it works. But now, what really defines the steps of when you can say, "I'm ready to forgive all of it"? So now there's another part of your mind is saying this needs to be done, reparations and I'm sorry or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's so complicated, but it too many people make it seem like it's just an easy thing. Well, God forgives, and you need to forgive, and He won't forgive unless you forgive. It's just this constant rotation of word salad, of repeating the same nonsense that just doesn't hold any water.
Yeah.
So,
I think if
else,
I was gonna say, I think if all right, so if somebody doesn't apologize, right, and there's no attempt at making amends, like it's possible. I think forgiveness looks different then because it's more difficult to really heal from it. It's more like, how do we build some scar tissue around that to be all right? And then
closure.
Yeah, but if somebody, and there's like degrees of them making amends, but if somebody does that, like now there's opportunity for healing that there can't be if they don't.
Yeah.
Because I just had a thing with somebody recently that I don't want to say who, but like I realized that, so they apologized, and I was relieved because they were apologizing and it didn't feel like my fault.
So it felt authentic.
Yeah, and it was also kind of like that was standing in for a lot of like past things too, because it was it was like kind of substituting that.
Wow,
man, we got
So
another. I'm getting word.
So there's the first part, right? So now, what do you do with that? You know, it feels authentic, and you can see it like it meant a lot to you. You can see as you're talking. So that was, like I said, forgiveness is also healing. You know, it's like, you know, you gotta heal from whatever happened. You know, so it's a very complicated thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
and it seems to always unfold too. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, so a couple of things like kind of came to mind, like as you were talking about it, I guess. But you guys, you two pick like where we want to go with this. The first thing, like you're like Kiff, like when you were talking about like it being like a whole process, because I like one of the things I would think about a lot is, okay, when do I know that I actually have forgiven someone? Because even if I'm like feeling like in the moment, like right now, okay, I'm not going to hold it against them. I'm moving past it. They apologize, but then it's like, but then how do I know like later I'm not going to get upset about it again? And it's like, well, if I get upset about it again, does that mean I really forgave them, or is that, or then
it means
the
you're
other
working on it.
Right, but then does that mean I'm working on it, or I have forgiven him and it's still a process, or I haven't completed the process? Like, so there's that aspect, but then so we can kind of go that direction. Or another thing I was thinking of is like, is it necessary for the other person to actually apologize for you to be able to forgive? Like, is that a necessary step?
I don't think it is necessary, but I think the effect it can have on you is different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not a it's not a one way street with it. There's no rules, regulations. I mean, everybody different hurts, different ways to deal with it. So, for me, I think from what I have learned myself is when you get to that point that it no longer affects you, and you choose not to use it against them, that's part of it. But it doesn't control you anymore.
And you don't use it against yourself anymore either.
And I get to the point of what happened to this person to make them be the way they were, whatever case. Yeah. and that is such a place to try to reach to, because that's where you become, okay, you still did this, but I have a better understanding of how it got there, and I'm sorry for what happened to you. You know what I mean? Like, we just automatically assume that whoever hurt you is just a douche or a bitch. But what got it there? You know what I mean? So it's a process, and it's a time-consuming process.
Yeah, 'cause that's something I started thinking about like several years ago. Like you're saying, that whole idea of like, even when someone does something to you, even if it's like, incredibly like horrendous and damaging or whatever, like you said, like I think most people don't want to be like terrible people. Like they don't like wake up in the morning and think, "Oh, I'm gonna like be abusive to somebody today," or "I'm gonna piss people off just because I want to." Like it's like
they're always usually the good guy in their story.
And usually if someone does do something that even they would say, looking back on, okay, yeah, that was a wrong thing to do. It's like, it's usually like, there usually is some kind of reason behind it. Like usually something's going on in them, like to bring them to that point where, like you said, like in certain circumstances, I think is, worthy of having some like degree of like empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it. But then, in like so many things, like it's a delicate balance. Like at what point do you kind of try to be understanding to where they're at, and then like how far can that go before you say, okay, I understand you're not doing this necessarily on purpose or something happened to you, but still you did the thing, and this needs to be addressed and taken care of. It's not like I can just wipe it. Oh, you had you had a terrible father. So I'm not gonna. Yeah, but
it's like how do you be as mad as you feel without hurting everybody involved? Like because like how to be mad without it hurting you, like eating you up, like being mad to get through it versus like being mad to avoid it. Because I think it's a German Catholic thing where like you have your feelings, but not because you're trying to get anywhere with it. like you have your feelings because like, oh, I'm having a feeling. This is uncomfortable. I'm just gonna tread water. Like I'm just gonna assume it's gonna dissipate instead of trying to like maybe move somewhere and see if the feeling changes.
It's like a feeling. How do I get rid of it?
It's like somebody peed in the pool and it's warm, and instead of trying to get away from it, you're just like, it'll cool off. Like,
that's quite a picture. So, like I'm hearing like intermittently kind of a background noise. I don't know if it's like an interference kind of thing. Is anyone else hearing anything weird?
Yeah.
Or is that just me?
I think Kiffany's microphone might be picking up when we talk.
I don't see how.
Are you? Yeah, it looks like you're wearing an earbud there.
Yeah, I got my earbuds, so. No. It might be maybe I have a fan or something.
And it just stopped. That's back.
I have no idea at this point. You're on your own. Maybe it's my speaker.
Matt hears it. Other Matt. Yeah.
Maybe it's just my cheap ass headphones. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
I don't hear anything. Yeah, I don't hear anything.
It could be that the speakers are up a little loud, and the microphone's picking it up.
I don't know. I'm just going to try muting Kiff real quick and see if that does anything. But...
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah.
It came back.
Yeah. It went away when
I pay my mic.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Do you have like external speakers on also?
No, but not connected to this.
Yeah, I think she's just going through her phone. Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, just going through my phone.
It's like a software issue or something.
Oh, my phone sucks for sure. It's whatever.
I mean, we can still hear you just fine. So that's.
Let's just pretend it's like a choir of angels, or is it some kind of like ethereal sitcom that's happening at the same time we're talking? It sounds like somebody's got a TV on in the background.
No. I thought maybe.
No, it's not a TV. I'm just saying that like when we're hearing ourselves like, echo a little bit. That's what it sounds like to me. Like somebody's watching an 80s sitcom in another room.
Yeah, I'm
hearing
that's kind of weird. Like, wait, hold on.
I'm not hearing like a voice or anything. Are you hearing like it sounds like a voice, Matt? Or...
It's like whenever we talk. Are you hearing that?
Or alien music? That's cool. Yeah, we just got a backing track. That's all.
Yeah, there we go.
No, that's weird. Now it's freaking me out.
I was getting a Total Recall kind of feel.
Ooh.
Like I just have to forgive me.
I guess. Yeah, see, and like object lesson. Very nice.
It's the gremlin in the machine.
Yeah. So, where were we?
Podcast. I'm here.
Oh yeah, we have one of those. I hear. So what was it you were talking about, Matt? Or was it Kiffany?
I do not fucking remember.
Let's see. So forgiveness. Oh yeah, I think we were talking about the whole like understanding that like when someone does something, that's like possibly because of like something that's already going on in their lives or from their past, and kind of.
I was just watching Even More News, which is a podcast and a video cast on YouTube, and they were talking about the same thing. Like somebody was giving context for like basically a lot of Trumpers thought they were the good guys, and then and now they're realizing like, oh, we were the baddies, and so like understanding that,
yeah,
but then also like how did you not realize like there were so many people telling you, and like you made fun of those people, and now you're like, oh, how are we supposed to know? And so there's that dynamic where like they truly didn't realize, a lot of them, and how could you not? So there's like an understanding and like an anger and a frustration there, and like how do you, two things are true, can be true at the same time. And
well, I think the state of the world right now completely shows you what it's looking like to be without a world, without forgiveness, empathy, kindness. I mean, it all ties in. There's a lot of angry people running around for all the wrong reasons on both sides, and for good reasons. I'm not even going to get into that. But you have a lot of angry, pissed off people who are carrying around a lot of just hurt and loss and pain and more hurt and whatever hurt they haven't been able to forgive. Or, this is the world without forgiveness.
And a lot of blaming the wrong people.
Yeah.
Like,
because I think to me, it's just empathy. There's no empathy. I think that all ties in, like you're saying. The empathy goes along with it all. And
yeah,
it's just this is what it's like.
And there's a lot of like blaming like people are kind of suffering from the same things equally, and we're blaming each other and not like pointing the finger at like the people who actually have the power to do something. Because like we really don't, but we're blaming each other like we're the ones in charge.
Entitlement.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah. Sorry. Seems like that noise.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah. At least on my end, sorry to interrupt with it, it seems like that noise is maybe even getting worse. So if hopefully this doesn't like fuck things up, but maybe try unplugging the earbuds, because I know even if you are just using just the speaker and mic on your phone, I think like Restream should have some sort of built-in thing where it would like take care of like whatever feedback might.
Could be just as cheap. It might need to be charged. Actually, that might be part of the problem. I'm thinking, but that's okay.
Nope.
Yeah, cut me out, and I'll see if I can try and get back in. And if I can't get it going up, that's fine.
Yeah,
so.
I was gonna say I'd say like maybe all you need to maybe do is just unplug the earbuds, and just use like just whatever built-in speaker.
Oh no, that's probably why, because it's not, they're not connected. So like with the cord or the cable. So I'm probably picking up some weird ass. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I said then maybe.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, maybe just turn that off and just go with like the built-in on your phone. See if that.
Yeah, go ahead and cut me off for now, and then I'll see what I can do. So.
Okay.
All right.
All right. See you. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, so here's a good point from Clinch here. We're the only developed nation that life expectancy is decreasing. Anger, stress over uncertainty shortens life. That's definitely.
We're also in late stage capitalism, and we think that like we need that to survive, and so people are freaking out like the world's ending. And it's like, no, capitalism is dying. You're not.
Yeah.
Although if you freak out enough about capitalism dying, like eventually people do. And we're like, oh, everybody's freaking out. Let's hurt each other. It's like, like you couldn't solve shit. It's gonna get worse if you do that. Don't do that.
For real.
And I am angry because my Medicaid is getting cut, and so are my SNAP benefits, unless the Senate, famously, slaveholdery white, and they're gonna approve the budget measure.
Yeah.
And the limit, okay, it's like $1,400 a month, and you can get Medicaid, but that's like they're rolling it back to when you had to be like, oh, it's amazing it's amazing you're not homeless. You qualify for Medicaid. We're going back to that kind of number.
Yeah. Yeah. But so, I mean, so maybe this is like a question for you, like being someone in the throes of it, because like it's easy to tell someone else, oh, you should just be forgiving about stuff. Like,
no, I don't forgive Donald Trump because he keeps ramping up his assholery. So like he just keeps running a deficit. I mean, I can be okay without. Like, I don't need him to do the things that I want in order to be okay. Like, that's not what thriving or survival is about. But, like, people halfway across the country reaching out and taking things from my family, like, all of my wiring says like I'm supposed to fight that.
Not just be like, well, that's what they decided. I forgive them.
Well, God only puts people in charge that he wants there, and that kind of stuff. Where like, even if that is true, not helping at the moment.
Right. And if that is true, maybe God's just an asshole, and maybe I don't need to forgive him either. But
that's a possibility.
man,
forgive. Yeah, we're healthier when we forgive, though. Like our brains are happier, bodies are happier.
Yeah,
but I guess it's a spectrum, like a lot of things.
Yeah, but so I guess that's maybe one thing I'm thinking of is like, when does like forgiveness like maybe go too far to the point where it just like becomes denial?
Where basically you keep hurting yourself for them.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it functions?
Yeah. Or is a clinch like against someone I don't necessarily recognize, at least from like who's been like interacting before. So my apologies if you have been watching for a while and I just didn't know. But or if you're new, I guess if you're new or old, either way, nice to have you here. Thanks for the more input here. Let's see. Our country is run by billionaires on both sides. They are the ones dividing us. What's going on now will not be solved by politicians. Pitchforks and torches. All right. Hey, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, better do it before they get that private army going with the former CEO of Blackwater. Because if you want... Yeah, that's who you want running your private mercenary force.
But yeah, pitchforks and torches. Yeah, just let me know when and where. Oh, you also know Kiff. Well, cool. See, we should have guests more often. Then more people would watch.
We have a lot in common. We know Kiff too.
Oh wow! What do you know? What a coincidence.
Yeah, I want to know where all the protests are happening all the time, because I kind of I want it to be like my new part-time job now.
Right. Well, Clinch is ready. Ooh, man. So here's the thing: anger and bitterness was a huge factor of me being in the hospital near death a couple of years ago. Damn, man. It was for over 2.5 months. Forgiveness is a process. Wow. That sounds intense. Yeah, I mean,
and it always sucks. I think it tends to suck way more for the person trying to forgive.
Yeah.
It's like you did a thing to me, and like, and now it also is going to be hard to let it go. Like, this is 2 strikes against me. Like, what did I do?
No. Unfortunately, I just got a message from Kiff. Apparently, like her phone's just acting up, and it looks like she's just not going to be able to jump back on. So,
now we need to forgive the phone people.
The phone people
selling people shit bricks for things that something. It's almost like utility. It's almost like somebody giving you like a shitty like gas meter for your house that like only lets you have like gas for your stove and sputters.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just messaging her back real quick. So yeah, keep talking, Matt.
Okay,
and entertain the people.
Oh, it's so much pressure now. I was just thinking about that Trump Gaza promotional video that like I'm sure they thought was hilarious or good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I have not seen this. Do I want to know?
Maybe we should watch it together. I could vomit again. Well,
do you want to pull it up now or some other time?
I don't know. Tommy, you want to be in a bad mood? Do you want to like be like, oh, what the fuck is happening?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to you.
It just felt like I was watching. It's like if Thanos owned casinos.
That was a illustration I never expected to
Trump's
have.
head is a swollen golden balloon at one point. It's a focal point of the scene for some reason.
Interesting choice.
Gazan refugees walking through the ruins of a city, and then it goes like flickers to like the future, and it's like Casino Land at Epcot Center, and they're like, everything is fine now, and Mr. Trump, he had balloons in his head like he's Mickey Mouse, and it's like it wasn't so great in the previous scene. We were trudging along over just tons of people buried under the concrete, and they're like, but it's all amazing now.
Yeah, apparently you're making it sound good.
All right, let's YouTube this bitch.
I was gonna say I don't have my usual setup for watching videos, so yeah, I'll have to let you. But yeah, in the meantime, like I just messaged Kiff. Yeah, like I said, yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties tonight, Kiff. Thanks for being on as long as you could. It was fun. We'll just have to have you on again sometime.
Okay, I don't know if. Okay, CNN does a. Let's do it the way I watched it, because I was just like, just from the beginning, I was just like, "Oh, this isn't real." And even CNN just talking about it, I was like, "This is like too dark to be in like an Avengers movie. Like, this is not for the people." All right, how do I share some shit?
All right, okay. So,
I gotta share a tab, right?
If you want sound, yeah, it needs to either be a. There's like 3 different options, like tab, window, or full screen. I think one of those, I think it's window doesn't share sound for some reason, but yeah, tab, you can share sound from that.
Okay, we're gonna Chrome tab it, and then I'm gonna make it big, and then I'll stop it at some point.
Oh boy.
You see? Okay, here we go.
So late last night, President Trump posted what appeared to be an AI-generated video on his Truth Social account. It's basically a promotion for his plan for Gaza, which is to essentially turn the enclave into a lavish Gulf resort. Here's part of that video.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1.
Let's discuss with Kevin Barron. He's a national security analyst and former executive editor for Defense One. Kevin, thanks so much for being with us.
What the actual fuck? Like, where? Okay, so where did this video actually come from?
Trump. He shared it.
Okay, but was he sharing it from something else, or was this?
I don't know. I don't know if it matters.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, who actually made that? I mean, it was clearly like all AI stuff, but like,
no, yeah, it definitely was.
Like, even the music sounded AI. It was.
It says Donald's coming to set you free, and then later in it, he's caressing a Middle Eastern woman. I'm sorry, West Asian woman. Middle East is a term the West created because it was a trade stop on the way to China.
So
it was like halfway. It wasn't really even halfway.
So Western Asian, that's
like West Asia, because that's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
Middle East isn't really a region. It's like, that group of brown people on the way to the yellow people. Like that's.
But yeah, that about describes it there.
And he has bankrupted 4 casinos.
Like, how do you even do that? That
No, we're at the point where trolling, they think they're trolling. But there's a point where, like, ironically pretending to be a Nazi is just you being a Nazi, or
Yeah.
where you're not trolling anymore. You're just evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's one of those things. Like, if you're okay appearing to be such a thing, it's like you might as well just be the thing. At least in this case, I guess. But I'm sure there's probably maybe some exceptions to that because there always are. But yeah, in this case, it's like if you're, it's like what we was this before we started. I think it was before we started. You were talking about how it's like of all the people, like whether it's been like Trump himself or Musk or like other people like in the administration or other Republicans or whatever, like with all the like accusations of basically being Nazis or white nationalists, like none of them have ever denied it.
They've never
Like
said
none of them,
I'm not a Nazi.
yeah, none of them are just like
kind of an automatic thing to say when somebody's like, "You're a Nazi." You're like, "No, I'm not." Like, kind of that's what you say next.
yeah, because that's one of two things. Either you really are, so you're not going to say it, or even if you aren't, you view people who are as like valuable enough of a base that you don't want to piss them off and alienate them. Which in that
really
case, like you might as well just
opinion.
yeah. Now, ooh, so we got this is interesting. So Klitsch apparently is a federal worker and had to send Musk here his 5 things. So people have heard about this. Apparently, I guess there was an email that went out to like federal workers, basically. Now my mind is blanking, but yeah, there was five things. I don't
you
remember
accomplished
exactly
last week.
That's right. Yeah,
to justify your job. Now, never mind that there's like a ton of federal workers undercover or like in remote areas.
Right. Or no, this is
There you
fantastic.
go.
I hope you actually put that in the email. That is no. I saw someone
apparently
else
were like taking pictures of their shits and saying this is one of the things I did at work yesterday.
Or one of my favorites, I saw someone post. They said like in a day, like they shared like how much like Tesla's stock tanked. So they're like, maybe Elon should be sending an email saying what he's doing. Wait, you did? Oh, you actually? So wait, you actually put that in your email, or you sent a picture of your shit? Like, I'd be impressed with either. Ooh, share in the chat. Like, please don't share your shit in the chat, but we don't need to see that. Please, like, send it to Elon all you want. But
there were also a lot of people. We don't know how many, but who because that email address was made public, people who don't work for the federal government were just sending like all the made up stuff they did yesterday. Yep. Apparently, a lot of it included porn.
Oh, good.
Just like it was so bad. Like the White House just called it rude emails. They're like very rude. They went full British. It wasn't porn. It was just very rude.
See, that stuff like that gives me hope.
Have you seen the video of Donald Trump sucking on Elon's feet? Another AI video.
Mm-hmm. That was like put into I forget what office
Department
it was.
of Education, I think.
Ooh.
Yep.
Man.
I drove home today through Redding because my job is on the other side of Redding right now, in Wyoming, Cincinnati area.
Not the state of Wyoming.
So Redding
we have our own Wyoming.
Yeah, and our own California too.
Yeah,
just and our own equal opportunity for the white people here.
Yeah, and then we even have our own Oxford, just a little to the north.
Where collect them all.
Yeah, it's Oxford that contains Miami University. Like, not that Miami, the one in Oxford, not that Oxford.
So driving through Redding, and Redding used to be called a sundown town. I think it was something about there were laws that like essentially made it illegal if you're black to be out at night. Because I don't know, two dark things together was too scary or something. I don't know. But I drove past the Reading Historical Society. There is one, and they have a flag out front with like the seal of the city on it, and it says from an Indian trail to a prosperous city. I was like, if that isn't the just kind of institutionalized racism, and they just don't even get it. It's like it used to just be Indian land, and look what we've done to do it. It's like got a bunch of bridal gown shops here. Like,
it's like what the colonialism. No, all right. So Clinch has shared his email. I'm afraid it's not all going to fit on screen. No. So here's what I'll read the whole comment, but with this up. All right. So day one, applied laws, regulations, policies, procedures, and contract provisions in order to monitor and evaluate performance of large commercial service operations. During the entire duration of the shift, I was able to resist becoming a Nazi. That's cute. All right, now I'll read the rest here. I can see in the chat. All right, day two. I led and participated in extensive commercial services planning in order to provide necessary. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm.
He says I was not able to become a deadbeat dad.
All right. So day three, like critically reviewed, like actual things.
And I managed to not defraud anyone, so I wasn't sued by the Securities and Exchange Commission today.
All right, day four. All right, actual work things. I was able to work my shift without posting any hate speech or conspiracy theories on social media. Wow, now that, like, I'm only barely able to do that.
You're doing better than your pseudo boss.
All right, day five. Actual work stuff. All day during my shift, I managed not to suck up to any Russian dictators. I didn't alienate our allies. I didn't illegally fire any federal employees. I didn't disband any government agencies. I didn't cut off any foreign aid to anyone. I didn't illegally go through the Treasury computers. I didn't ignore any court orders. As a matter of fact, I didn't violate any policies, regulations, or laws. Hey, do not apologize for that. Like, I offer no forgiveness for that because none is needed to stay on topic for the show. Like, dude,
you included
seriously.
Yeah. I need another drink. It's time for a second drink. No, that was excellent, and I love how you included so many words that'll actually like trigger the algorithm. You know, like Grok will be like, "Oh, they're saying things, important things, using businessy words." And like saying real things, and it's like, oh, I'm also not a Nazi, and like, fuck, that's in the spreadsheet now.
Right. All right. So without any, I guess I don't know what tonight's episode has become at this point, but without any like official like second drink transition, that alone is worthy of a second drink. So
yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because it makes like I've heard a lot of this stuff on YouTube lefty stuff, but it's awesome to connect with somebody who's going through it and doing their best to hang in there and shit all over it.
Yeah, the best of both worlds.
Solidarity.
Absolutely. So so tonight's second drink, got another of the torpedo variety case.
That's what she
said. Tonight's she wishes. So tonight's torpedo extra IPA goes out to Clinch, and that email deserves its own drink. So, and
have you? Yeah. You know what?
What?
This isn't my idea. Not my idea either. I do not endorse what I'm about to say. Kind of do. Hold on. I don't endorse the conclusion people will draw.
Okay.
What's it called? Regicide or whatever that's called when you assassinate a king. Like there's no U.S. law against that. You also aren't supposed to be. No one's supposed to be given a title of royalty in the United States. That is actually a law.
Yeah.
And there's no law against no law against killing the King of the United States.
Because there's not supposed to be one. So.
Right. And this is all hypothetical. I'm just saying this is quite a legal conundrum.
Hmm.
Kind of like a shell game that would happen if you tried to like.
Well, we just got put on a bunch of lists.
I think I was already on one. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and I was like, I'm gonna turn off my phone because I'm about to say a bunch of keywords. And she's like, and she goes, like, good call. And then I was like, oh no, we're at the point where these conversations happen. Like,
yeah.
I was just gonna say things that are true, but like, there's certain words you can't say, and
yeah. Not that he's endorsing anything.
No. I mean, it's been a long time since tar and feathering.
Ooh.
But that's actually torture. I mean, it sounds funny, but also like tar stays on there until your skin falls off, which will happen soon because you've got third-degree burns under there. The post-revolution.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Clinton. Like, so me and Matt were talking about, like, speaking of like format of the show, like we may need to make it a more regular thing to talk about what's going on with the government these days, because I mean,
it's been affecting me personally with finances.
Yeah, and fuck that shit. So you're someone I would definitely like to hear more from, whether you just want to like keep interacting in the chat or even like come on, like just like we had Kiff or other guests. Like, I mean,
you guys are going through. You and your, I don't know if you have a family, but like you and potentially your family are getting jerked around real hard in a really uncertain way.
Yeah.
And it would be good to connect with somebody.
No, obviously, like totally up to you. Like what, like it's all up to like your comfort level with like sharing this stuff publicly. But keep in touch or whatever. And thanks for coming.
And when I said it's good to connect to somebody, I didn't mean like you should talk to us because we're cool. We'll help you. That's not what I'm saying. I was like, it's just good to connect with everybody who's going through their own hard stuff. For me, I like that. Yeah. It's all for me. Fuck you.
Oh, and I mean, really lately, I mean, anymore these days, I mean, unfortunately, it's becoming like seemingly like more vital to like make connections like this, like with more like-minded people. It's like, so
that's how we, don't become what they are. That's how we don't give in is.
Speaking of which, that reminded me of someone else I may want to reach out to join the show. Not someone you know, Matt, and someone I only vaguely know. But
I love people you vaguely know.
Yeah. They tend to be pretty awesome. But yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like...
It's just getting... Are we going full Blade Runner soon? What's happening? I mean, everything is like upside
also
down
like,
and ass backwards. It's like ass sidewards and.
But your mention of Blade Runner reminded me like to show just like how much of a dumbass Elon can be sometimes. Like I guess when he was talking about like the Cybertruck. Like, he literally describes, like, this is something that Blade Runner would drive. It's like, everyone's like, Blade Runner's not a person.
He's also so autistic that, like, a lot of this is him trying to mask. I'm not saying he's innocent.
Right.
I'm saying, like, this is what happens when whatever mental health thing he has that makes him utterly self-focused.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for hanging out, Matt. Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yep.
So
thanks for being here.
And glad you enjoyed it. So. I also love like how
he's an extremely selfish person, probably like hypermanic, and he's like trying to fit in. He's like, this is what people do, and he's doing it, and so I kind of like can understand that, but like he's being such a dick about it. Most autistic people are nothing like that.
Right? I mean, we're not doing that. Yeah, so I guess maybe to kind of like tie this back, but real quick, I just wanted to point out, like, I just kind of love at like, I guess love, but I don't know, like how like when we have people who are interacting, like part of me like feels guilty, but the other part of me feels like cool that they feel the need to do this. But like when they're like jumping off, like apparently like lots of people, like not just like the folks tonight, but like they feel the need to say like, well, I'm jumping off, like have a good night, guys. And like you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of weird. Like it's cool that people like feel like that connected with the show, that like when they just because they stopped watching, they I need to like call this out and say, but also like you don't need to apologize. Like again, going back to what we were saying earlier about how we tend to kind of ramble on and make pretty lengthy episodes that are difficult for people to watch all in one sitting. So it's like you don't need to apologize for not sticking through for all 3 hours or whatever what this ends up being. But at the same time, I think it's really cool that people feel that level of connection where it's like, hey, I'm leaving and I feel like I should let them know. And so that's cool.
Also because there's like not a lot of people watching.
They're
like, if I leave, there's a huge percentage of the audience leaving.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like one person leaving is definitely a sizable percentage. But like,
remember that one week when Facebook apparently was like tweaking their bots, and we just had like an explosion of viewers.
Yeah, we had like over 1,000. Like,
it's like, oh shit, the bots are just watching live streams. It's like,
yeah. Which I mean, cool. I mean, I kind of missed that, but
yeah, I felt bad for me that I liked it.
But also, like, none of the bots were interacting. That was the part that pissed me off. But
yeah,
we have got some bot interaction on Twitch, because also people don't know we're on Twitch now as well. So
yeah,
that means anything to anybody, but we're there just because we can.
And the messages we got were basically the Twitch version of like, ask me about my pyramid scheme.
All right, but back to like the whole like.
What are you drinking? Same beer?
No, I already. This is the torpedo. Remember?
Oh, fuck yeah, you did. I didn't introduce mine. Real fast, mine is Fox and the Stout, salted chocolate imperial stout again.
But this one tastes a little weird.
You've had it before?
Yeah, it's the Sierra Nevada torpedo.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, I've had it lots of times, but this one almost tastes a little. It's still pretty hoppy, but I don't know if it's just because like coming off of the Rounding Third. But I usually consider Rounding Third being like a red IPA, being on like kind of like the sweeter, kind of maltier end of an IPA. But it seems like compared to that, this tastes like so much sweeter. Like, and it almost tastes like a really malty lager almost, which is like really bizarre. So I'm like,
is the Rounding Third a dry beer?
What I guess that depends. What do you mean by dry?
All right, so you know how like some beers kind of feel like they make you want to drink water more because it feels like it's like taking moisture from your mouth.
I don't know. I guess
it could also be different sweetnesses.
Yeah,
and the other one just had like none of what the torpedo had in it as far as sweetness, and so this is jumping.
Yeah, but like to me, like if I didn't know like what this was, if I just tasted it, like I don't know if I'd even guess that this was an IPA. It's like,
whoa, that's crazy because that's a torpedo, and that's just very IPA.
but I'm noticing like more than anything, I'm getting a lot of like just sweetness and a lot of the yeast.
It's the forgiveness. It makes everything taste sweeter.
God,
I'm so
I hear.
sarcastic tonight. I don't feel like I would normally be sarcastic about forgiveness like that.
But I get it. I mean, all right, but back to the whole like Elon, like
he keeps being evil,
like and like being autistic and like what there was somewhere I was gonna go, but then I interrupted myself.
He's the shadow president. We weren't talking about that, but he is.
Yeah, right.
Not even hiding it.
Yeah. Man.
Will Trump let him sit at the Resolute desk during an interview?
Ooh.
I don't think so.
I'm sure. Well, I kind of have the feeling like he could probably leverage that if he really wanted to. But
oh, you mean Trump could leverage that from Elon, or
no? I mean, I think Elon could probably leverage that because, especially because like something you were saying before, I think actually on one of our previous episodes. I don't remember which ones, so just go back and watch all of them because why the hell not?
You'll find.
But you were talking about like a possible like agreements that like Musk and like other like billionaires are making like with Trump, like going into it, like hey, if we can get you in power and then we can make you as rich as we are, like
we'll keep you out of jail.
And there was
there was a
so I feel like if Musk did have that kind of pull and like influence beforehand, like he could probably leverage some shit. I mean, he already has.
Well, I think he also has something over Trump now. Hold on a second. All right, so
unforgivable. Sorry.
There was an interview with God, what was it? Giggles McFuckface. He used to have that show on Fox, and he got let go. Tucker Carlson. Just a taint of a name.
Yeah, that dude is.
All right, so he was interviewing.
That kid ain't right.
Yeah, he was Speaking of kids, he was interviewing Elon Musk and his Emperor in Waiting, Little X.
X, yeah.
Yeah, he has him around like that's his successor, and he's training him up good. So this is before the election, and Tucker was like, "Hey, you think he's gonna win? You spent a lot of money on him, and all that kind of stuff." And Elon goes, "I think it's done." And Tucker's like, "You mean like it's in the bag? Like you're confident he's gonna win?" And he's like, "I think it's done." I think there's evidence now showing that I think he stole the election for Trump, and that's he has to have leverage over Trump, and not just like getting him elected kept him out of jail, because he was gonna be convicted for January 6th. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, they the evidence they had was just a slam dunk. Like the trial would have been, the attorneys at the government who would have been doing the prosecution, they're like it was guaranteed conviction. Apparently they had evidence that hadn't been released yet that they had acquired for the investigation. Yeah, and like he would have been convicted and gone whatever jail presidents go to. I'm sure it is just a golf course with a fence or something.
Right.
But like, why is Musk continuing to be allowed to get away with things? He must have other leverage. And I think the guy's feeding the federal government into Grok. I'll bet that was the dream team that worked on that, because these are people he knows he can trust. Like, what could they have done that makes him trust them with the federal government?
Mm-hmm.
They all have shit on each other. And big balls, McShort pants. Seen pictures of that guy?
What?
All right. One of the guys who's one of the minions who's tearing apart the infrastructure right now in the federal government. His screen name on LinkedIn, of all places, was Big Balls. And the main picture of him circulating is him in like a navy blue blazer and like a light blue shirt, and he's wearing like chino shorts in the picture, but standing there like he's wearing pants. You're like, that guy thinks he has pants on. Also, I think it was Jon Stewart. He was like, he looked at the picture and he goes, "So soon after your bar mitzvah?" Because he looks like a Jewish 12-year-old.
I love that. Like that's a look, but yeah.
No, it is like, oh, that's in slideshow at a bar mitzvah. That's what that picture is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jon Stewart for president. You need to watch his Monday night stuff on the Daily Show.
I saw some of the stuff like more like around the election and like leading up to it, but yeah, it was good stuff.
He cut his finger in a mug, and he was pretending to be an accountant for a second to like try to verify Doge, and so he brought out everything that like an old timey accountant would have on his desk, including a mug that said "World's Most Dad."
I need one of those.
So he's like going through all the stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you got this program that's just bullshit and is like billionaire money for free." And he's like, "Oh, you can cut that." And he's like, "There." He's like, "I cut like however many. It was like tens of billions of dollars in 11 seconds." And he was talking. They started talking about drug prices and how drug research is done in universities with funding from the federal government that is funded by taxpayers, and then drug companies get to use those patents for those things and sell it back to us as if they're the ones who developed it and they're trying to recover all the development costs. It's like we funded the development of it through taxes, and then they sell it back to us for a shit ton of money. Again, we're paying for it twice. It's like, I have an idea. How about you keep paying universities to develop drugs, and then when they're done, the federal government owns the rights to it, and they produce medicines at cost.
There's a concept.
Kind of seems like the most humane thing to do.
Right? But who wants to do that?
No, we're trying to save people's lives or be good people. We're just trying to have a lot of good money. Money is the root of all goodness, Tommy.
Matt, why does everything hurt?
Well, you see, Tommy, these are what was it, like the groans of labor pains that the Holy Spirit is having. We are a constipated turd in the intestines of our Lord. And
all right, so
we're trying to make the big turn, at the top of, big large intestines go across the top, and then there's like that right turn they gotta make to go whee, and then it's almost like poop town in the toilet.
All right, so there's a place I was considering going earlier, but wasn't sure. But I'm kind of like 1.5 beers in, I'm kind of feeling it now. But it's a departure from the whole like political talk. So
okay.
So I just want to make sure, like, was there anything else you want to say on that front before we?
Not at the moment. Just
all right.
It's all bad. I feel like it's just.
That's
glass-studded dildo in every way.
Right? Yeah, a good call back to our buddy Derek Day. I'm sure he loves being known for that, but it was his fault. He was the one who brought it up.
Yeah,
He'd probably be proud. We need to have him on again.
mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, so anyway,
He seems happier than last I saw him.
Really,
which was on election night.
Yeah. It seems like he's recovered.
I was worried. I was like, it's not wellness check time, but
yeah, that was for people who didn't see our election night coverage. Yeah, that was especially for Derek. Like he took it especially hard, which I totally get. I mean, I was in the fields as well myself. But anyway,
and we were white.
Right. Yeah. So even more so for someone like him. But yeah. So anyway, but this kind of brings us back. What's that?
Things are bad when the white people get scared.
Right. So also like a plug for another friend's show. That's something me and Jimmy Ligon were talking about. I was on his show Unreligious last week. And I talked about how we need to have like the five of us in our little like network, as it were, like Derek, Jimmy, and Aaron. Like we just need to do something again. And Jimmy's like, yeah, we need to like hang out again, but like over something like happier. Because like I was worried about Derek that night.
Oh, you know what?
Like, yeah.
Is there a way to where you can all watch the same movie at the same time or something? Is there a streaming service for that?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess we could. I don't know.
Anyway.
That's why the first thing I thought of was something fun.
Not
really
that'd be cool.
Feasible.
But well, I mean, if nothing else, like we could all just like hop on Restream.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wouldn't like go live, but then someone would just share like their computer playing a movie or something.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said. I mean this for laughing hysterically at how bad it is.
Yep.
Because laughing at how ridiculously awful they are. Not laughing at the consequences, but just kind of some gallows humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so terrible at being bad. Like they're cartoonishly evil. Yeah, we all suffer the consequences, but like they like eat our fear and anxiety. Like their main goal is to make liberals cry. Like the joke about the meme about liberal tears, like it's a real thing. They lived the meme so hard.
Which is like which is really sad.
But it makes sense.
But,
like religious people in that kind of culture, it's all built around living a metaphor, like it's fact.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And they didn't know how to do sarcasm. We were right.
Yeah. Right. All right. So, but bringing it back to like like the religion and like the forgiveness topic. So here's a question that was on my mind, but I wasn't sure I wanted to go there. But like I said, now like a beer and a half in, I kind of want to go there.
Go there.
So Bible. So
we need
Bible God.
Go there.
So Bible God. If he actually turned out to be real, would you forgive him?
I think I would not be obligated to.
Oh, yeah, certainly not.
And I think God would be like, I get it. I don't forgive people either.
Because I absolutely would fucking not.
No, I would be like, I'd be like, okay, if I don't, if that means I'm going to hell, then like I think it would be easier to adapt to life in hell than in heaven.
Interesting.
I'm not saying like it's better, but there's a show called Lucifer that is really good. And it's better than it has any right to be. So it's like it's essentially an exploration of good and evil, and what even is evil, what even is good, and the demons were more relatable than the angels. I don't know if that means that like humans are mostly demonic. I'm sure people will make that argument, but if we are, isn't it better to just be us?
Right? Yeah, just be who you actually are.
And the things we think are good are actually evil because, whatever and all that shit. Like
Yeah. So
like where you have to like teach somebody that it's good to kill other people. It's not something that people seem to develop on their own. Yeah, I think religion is evil. I think it causes people to make really convincing excuses for themselves about why it's okay to be evil.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
hence Nazis.
Right. Yeah. Let's not hence the Nazis. But
a t-shirt that says, "I'm not a Nazi, are you?"
Or I'm not a Nazi, and so can you.
Well, that's the funny version. Okay, one of them is to force the question in somebody's mind, because the human brain will answer every question that it is posed it.
Which that is fantastic. That's why I love the question, like, would you forgive Bible God if he was real? And I think part of the reason why that was like kind of like on my mind is because I think it was today or yesterday I was rewatching the episode I did like by myself it was over the summer, where I just went like more in depth, like into like my story and like my background, how I got to where I am, some of my biggest problems with Christianity, partially like, and again, this is one of those, like, because I'm neurodivergent, whether it's the autism or something else, like I know, like I do things for different reasons than like most people would. So like, it's like like I've said before, like I will often go back and like watch previous episodes of our show, like for lots of reasons. Some of it like just to try to remember what we talked about last week, like or whenever, kind of. So at least try to make sure we're not like repeating ourselves too much, or also just like with my concept or sometimes lack thereof of even just like myself as a person, like so like seeing me in formats like this kind of make me more real to me, kind of thing. But
yeah,
also
I agree with that.
Well, good, you're correct. But especially like with that episode in particular, like part of the reason I really wanted to do that was just so I would have like something to be able to like to share with like anyone who wanted to know more about me and my story and how I got here. So it actually came up because I was in like yet again like another person who, a Christian who like I know and like and was like close with, haven't seen in a while, but was doing the whole, hey, you just been on my mind a lot and I just wanted to reach out, and like they sent me like a Christian podcast or something to watch. I really just want you to watch this and really think about it. And I know, like, again, knowing this person, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't have their.
And you're like, tell me you're saying, ask me about my cult without telling me that.
Well, it's like I said, this was someone who, like, yeah, I won't go into details.
They were trying to be helpful. They meant well. All that.
Yeah, and they're just like, you've just been on my mind so much lately. Like, I just really, especially like, I guess this was like a podcast they were really been into. They said for whatever reason, when I've been watching that, like, you keep coming to my mind, so I feel like I really need to share this with you. And so I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if I was still a Christian, I would find this compelling, but it's like, because they were like, it's just the way they talk about Jesus. I really wish you would hear like this. It might, as if they thought that might change my mind, or they thought.
So it's not Jesus; it's the way you talk about him.
Yeah, there's that too. But anyway, so and so like and we were like messaging like back and forth, and like I told them like look, if you were just like any random person, like I wouldn't even give this whatever you're sending me the time of day.
Give two shits about Tuesday.
Yeah. But like you just being who you are, and I know this is coming from a genuine place of, love and concern or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll so I said, yeah, I'll watch it, let you know what I think, whatever. So yeah, I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was, like I said, like if I was still a Christian, like, yeah, this would be compelling. But the fact that they're just saying so many nice sounding things about Jesus, like I said, like at this point, like I don't care how nice it sounds. I care about if it's true or not.
And I think it's outsourcing self-forgiveness to an imaginary friend. Because all that,
to bring it back,
yeah.
So anyway, so bringing it back to
no, hold on. Let me marinate
yeah.
in that for a second.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like all those nice things that I don't know exactly what they were saying, but all those nice Jesus-y things where you kind of picture Jesus saying these things to you, that where they're kind of like play acting almost as Jesus or something. And it's like those are all the things you want to believe about yourself, but you can't. And so you need that like third person doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And once like I could do that for me, I didn't see the point anymore. Like I think there's like some deep truisms in the Bible and then the stuff Jesus said, but it's not exclusive to Jesus or to the Bible.
Yep.
But there are truisms that like just kind of hack reality and life experience. Where it just kind of, for like a second or as an ongoing experience, you just kind of feel like you're in the groove of how things are a bit more. Sorry, that's a reminder to drop in on Owen and remind him to take his medicine, which I will do in a minute.
All right.
Yeah, it's like Jesus is like the part of me I wish I had. I think that's how it used to be.
Yeah. And then you realize, like, yeah.
Fuck everybody for telling me I needed this external thing instead of trying to help me have it.
Right? Yeah. Which again, but also calling back to something we mentioned earlier is like having that empathy is like.
Also, they were the good guys.
Thought, yeah. They think they're doing, the right thing and what's best for you. So anyway,
hold on. It's like religion is evil, but not completely.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so all that backstory I was just sharing, like with that conversation with the person, like sharing the podcast with me and trying to reach out, like, so bringing it back to like the episode that I was talking about and saying like why that question about like do you forgive God, kind of like there's so many layers to this. I'm going to get through them eventually.
It's like a tiramisu.
Ooh, haven't had one of those in a while. Yeah,
very rummy,
but in all the best ways. But so yeah, so they were saying like, I just wish you heard about, basically the impression I was getting, like, oh, I think well, if you hear about Jesus this way, this might change your mind, kind of thing. I mean, like, so I basically asked like, what do you think that they're saying in this podcast that I haven't heard before? And also, like I said, this was someone like I've known like for decades, but also like it's not something remained like super close with, so I don't know how much of my story they really know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
for like the things that you're telling, and this is something I've had like through like other interactions I've had with this person. I'm just like, I don't know if you understand like why I don't believe anymore, or what I have. Like, and they would say things like, well, I know if you just like, God speaks to us through his word, the Bible. So I know if you
After
just
you
really,
first assume there's a point to reading it.
right. And they would say things like, I know if you just study his word and like see what's in it, I know he would speak to you. And I'm like, okay, I have done that.
Yeah, he sounds like a schizophrenic asshole.
Yeah, it's like, how do you think I became an atheist? I didn't say that, but it's like, so but basically I'm just like, okay, clearly you don't, like, you're basically telling me you do not fully understand my story. So you are in no place to speak to me to tell me what I need to do at this point.
It's
And
about,
like I said,
there's also about like scratching the itch they had so they feel better.
right. Which like I said, just given like who this person was and the history
No, I mean,
that
two
we
things
had,
can be
like,
true.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're really trying to help and they're scratching an
right.
itch.
Yeah, but that's why I said, like, if this was like any just random person, I wouldn't have given two shits. But I said, because of the history we had, because of who this was, I'm like, okay, I'll watch the thing you sent me. I'll, have this conversation with you. Cool. But all that to say, this is why it was nice to have that episode, because then I said, okay, if you really want to know my story and where I'm at, here, I laid it all out right here. So all that to say, this is why I recently rewatched that episode, because it was like, okay, I just sent this to this thing, but like I said, this was like back in like last summer, so I don't even necessarily remember what all I said. So I rewatched it again, just like, what did I just send this person?
Did you still agree with you?
Oh yeah, for sure. But it was more just like in case they had any questions or wanted to talk about it, then okay, I know like what I said and what they're referring to or whatever. But one of the segments, and this is still like one of the things I was most proud of from that episode, and it was like near the end, but I got to like talking about like, so this is back to the question of, okay, if Bible God turned out to be real, could you forgive him? And why I said probably not, if I'm really honest with myself. And he would probably want me to be honest too. But so I got to the point where I was
Unless
talking.
you can make it make sense, I think that has to be where he's like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like, well, I literally had to do it this way. Otherwise, nothing would exist. I've been like, okay, I kind of get that. Also, like, aren't you just kind of mediocre then? Like,
yeah, like I said, if that's the case, then you are not the all-powerful being that they've all told me you were. Which, okay.
Yeah, then you're not really necessary. It's just like,
yeah,
once the Big Bang happened, once the engine was started, this is just what was going to happen after that.
yeah. Yeah, but again, I'm saying, but if, like, the Bible God, the God of Christianity, like the God that they tell me is all powerful, is real, then yeah, at that point, yeah, like if you're all powerful and this is the best well, apparently this isn't the best you can do, because if you're all powerful, there's no such thing as the best you can do, because you can do fucking anything, and this is what you chose to do. Like, fuck no, I'm not forgiving you for this shit.
What if you're all powerful and that means there's only one way you can do things? Like, why do we assume that like being all powerful means that like there's options?
Well, I guess because just to me, like being all powerful means you can do literally whatever you want, or you can do literally anything. I mean, especially if this guy like created everything, because that whole like if the whole idea of, well, this is all God could do, to me, that, well, if this is all God can do, like, given the circumstances, well, but God's the one who created the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
but also then God would like be the circumstances.
Yeah, because like for all the people who say that like all the bad things that happen in the world, well, this is just like the natural consequence for what things happen. Okay, but who's the one who designed how? Yeah, who's the one who designed how these consequences work and what would?
Wait, were you thinking consequences like for like moral decisions and stuff,
or just anything?
That's like explain to me. And that's like step 1, step 3, profit. Like step 1 underpants, step 3 profit. It's like
right.
What? It's like, oh, well, we did the wrong thing, and therefore volcanoes. Like, what?
Yeah, so
it's like you're making there's a leap from story to science without like where's the link?
Right, yeah, because it's the way like the Christian story, and I'm sure it's probably the case in other like religions as well that I'm just not as familiar with, but the way they talk about the situation, it's almost as if God didn't actually like literally design everything from scratch, as he turns your lights out, because we're talking about him. But it's almost as if like they're discussing the situation is almost as if it's like something that God just came across and had to work with and managed to
drop it on Owen.
Yeah.
Dropping in.
Yeah. Thanks. But yeah, they talk about things almost as if like God wasn't the one who actually made it, but like he just happened across a situation that he had to fix somehow, and he was so brilliant in how he found a way to fix it. It's like, they'll talk about, and like this comes up a lot in like the arguments from like fine tuning from the universe. They'll say like, well, look at like the Earth and like the magnetosphere and the ozone layer and how well it protects us from all these things in space. Like, see, look how well designed this was. This must be God. And like, okay, but then the question is, okay, but who put all the things in space that are dangerous that we need these things to protect us from? It's like they're acting like he's not responsible for that part. And anyway,
I meant to mute my microphone before, and I think it was still on when I was using Echo to drop in on Owen. So sorry if that was the case.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so there's all that. So all this to say, like, this is the reason I went back to like rewatch this episode, is because I just shared it with a friend, and I just want to see what I just sent to them. But when I got to the part, there was a part in the episode there, which just out of curiosity, I don't care if you haven't, but have you actually watched that yet?
No, I'm in a place now where I can.
Yeah, that totally get it. Yeah,
I was in sometimes I can't. Sometimes there's structures of time where I can't connect with people on a deep level because it triggers like a cascade failure in my head.
I hear that. But one of my favorite parts of the video was when I got to where I addressed like the question that a lot of us atheists get. It was like, well, what if you like die and you find out God is real? Like how you respond? What do you say? What do you do? It's like,
Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
Right. Yeah. I said in the video, I know exactly what I would say to God. Like, I like die and like I'm before him or them or her or whoever it is. Like, I would look them straight in the eye, like, as I said, probably with tears in my eyes, and just say, where were you?
And don't give me any that I was there the whole time and the other footprints in the sand and shit.
Yeah. It's like, well, then you should have made it like more fucking obvious. Because I'm like the illustration I keep going to is because the Christians love to use this, like to describe God to people, is like as a father. I'm a father. And you know what I do for my kids? I fucking show up. And like am obviously a parent to them. I exist to them. I don't make them just take my existence and presence and love for them on faith. I make sure they fucking know it every single time I'm with them. Because, but then the people say, oh, but God, like, he's God. He's like on a whole other realm. And like,
or how could you be so mad at something that doesn't exist, Tommy? Isn't that a tacit admission God does exist because you're so mad at him?
Okay, fine, Christian, have it your way. I'm fucking mad at you. Is that what you want?
It's like, look, I can be mad at a metaphor just as much as you can worship one. Fuck off.
Yeah. But like, yeah, but for the people who want to say, well, the reason you can't perceive him is because he's God and he's like, he's got a spirit and we're physical beings and like we can interact. Okay, well, again, going back to the whole like, well, if he's all powerful, okay, well, who designed it that way? Like, what God in his right mind, who can design the universe in any way he wants, creates beings that he wants relationship with, who can't fucking perceive him?
Well, you just gotta do the right things, Tommy, and you gotta pray the right thing and take the right camps thing. You gotta go be with dudes, and you gotta sing worship songs, but you gotta sing them like you're marching in the army, doing your like cadence rhythm.
Because God only shows up in militant sausage fests. That's what I'm getting.
Well, okay, see, it's not homosexuality if you both say you're straight. I guess I don't know.
Oh man. But so this is why if I found out that God was actually like the God of the Bible of Christianity, whatever the fuck you want to say, like if it turned out he was real, like people say, well, would you still worship him? It's like, no, I wouldn't fucking worship him, and no, I would not forgive him for like the everything. And now, like, if it did turn out that, like, okay, yes, he was real, and yes, it was true that, like, if I didn't accept him as my personal savior or whatever the fuck you want to say, I would spend eternity in hell. And it's like,
get your own Jesus, collect him now.
Yeah. But no, but yeah, like, I would definitely, to the like the C.S. Lewis bullshit of like hell is locked from the inside. Like anyone who ends up in hell really wanted to be there. Like, okay, if you really think that those of us who don't believe or we just claim to not believe, it's like you're saying, okay, we actually do believe that like hell is real, and if we don't follow Jesus, we're going to end up there, and it's going to be like eternal torture, and it's going to be the worst possible thing ever. But we choose to send ourselves there. Like, how fucking stupid do you think we are?
Did he come from money in England?
C.S. Lewis? Yeah. I really don't know.
Because that's a very like I don't understand poor people thing to say.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Where that's like, well, if you don't like being poor, just don't be poor. It's like,
right. Yeah. They chose to be there.
You must want to be. Poverty is locked from the inside, Tommy.
God.
Isn't that the conservative message? It's like,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, we need to take away their benefits because the problem is not that there isn't enough jobs and or money available for them. The problem is that they don't want to not be poor enough,
right?
Or they don't want to not be disabled enough. It's like, so we're gonna take away their benefits until they're wheelchaired, it joins them,
no, like you just gotta wait till they're just like completely bedridden. Yeah, but just that idea of people like being fully like aware, like, okay, yeah, hell is real and I'm going to choose that. Like, no, if I were like, again, if I were to die and like it turns out like, I'm standing before God and it is true, like, oh yeah, if I don't accept him, he's going to send me to hell. It's like, yeah, at that point, I'd be like, yes, please do not send me to hell. Like, what will it take for me to get into heaven? Now, if it does take like honest, genuine, like, love and devotion and belief and like acceptance of him, like, I don't know if I could muster that. And I'm sure if he really is God, he would know that even if I said, oh yeah, totally believe in you and love you and want to worship you, like, he would know that wasn't real. So I don't know what he would even do with me at that point. But
if God is real, God is both good and evil, and the terms are meaningless. It's just like matter of preference.
Yeah, but again, like I said, a couple weeks ago or whenever it was, our episode where we talked about like, are we spiritual? Because yes, I watched that one back as well because that's what I do. Where I just with what like what you said, like if God is real, he's like good and evil. It's like at that point, and this is just me personally. I understand like these terms are useful for other people, but for me, like the all the different things that people are like coming up with, like as far as like ways to define God, like beyond like just being like a being and just being like whatever the ground of all being is. I just find like calling that God for so many reasons personally, just like so unhelpful and unuseful.
No, there would need to be another.
I just don't. Yes.
Like a term that equally means like a religious thing and a scientific thing, but is neither one of those exactly. It's just real.
Yeah, because honestly,
I think we're pretty close to having God dissolve into science, but like science gets a little spiritual feeling. I think doesn't mean it is spiritual. It just means like that's our experience of it.
Yeah, so it's like they're both like kind of on a trajectory, and there may be like a point of intersection, but
yeah, like we're getting. There's like a ton of,
or maybe it's.
Yeah. So I don't know if you ever heard how the Earth's poles, magnetic poles, have flipped in the past.
Yeah,
and it seems to like just like it like drifts a little bit, and then all of a sudden, plop, and just flips. I feel like whatever the version of that is that involves people, like I think we're like oh, and now we're about to the point where it just goes flip. I don't know what the flip is. Either it means like fascist all the time, everywhere, every place. You're not cool if you're not a fascist. That could be where we're going. I don't think so, because we have the internet, and like resistance to that is growing at the same rate.
Yeah, which is why I kind of like, there's that say like the revolution will not be televised. I was like, no, I think the revolution it will be televised, because that's kind of what the internet is now.
That's what Kendrick said. Halftime show.
Yeah.
Revolution's about to be televised.
Yep.
So
I almost like
you gotta watch a black person's evaluation of that, because there's imagery that they like felt and saw in that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's like so much that I completely missed. Yeah,
and basically how the white people in charge did not realize what they had cleared. That's I think what happened.
Oh, good. Yeah. Man. Yep. But yeah, see, just trying to remember if there was anywhere else I was wanting to go with the whole forgiving God. Mentioning, but speaking of which, yeah, if anyone is curious about more of my background and my story, go back and watch an episode. Like, we don't have them numbered or anything. I want to say this was back like last June or July. Yeah, it's just called Doubting Tommy. So, because I talk about also like how I kind of identify with like the story of Doubting Thomas and my frustration with like, coming off of surviving stage 4 cancer, just looking for something solid to grasp onto. But because at this point I was like pretty well deconstructed in the whole like progressive Christianity camp, and all the answers I was getting was basically, oh, you can't expect answers. God doesn't work that way. It's all about the mystery. Isn't the mystery great? And it's like right now, like in my life where I'm trying to find something to hold on to. No, the mystery is not fucking great. Like I need like to know something.
Yeah.
And there's like, well, God doesn't work that way. Well, according to the Bible, he absolutely does fucking work that way. Because like, take my man, my namesake, the disciple Thomas, when he said, well, I won't believe until I, see him myself and I'm able to like touch his wounds and whatever. And So, like, when he said that, when Jesus showed up, first of all, like, Jesus showing up, if you're going to tell me, like, well, God can't just show up, like, well, then what the fuck was Jesus?
But then we see, but then, like, we saw in that prayer tent, like, something showing up or happening, and we're like, so we know, like, the thing we call God happening shows up in certain environments.
Yeah, but that was like you had to like take that on faith. But I'm talking about like, but no, like Jesus, like literally, like as a person, like showed up and say, "Hi, I'm the Jesus. Yeah, finger my holes, all you
Oh
want."
yeah, I mean, man camp would be the perfect place for Jesus to show up,
Right? Yeah, which and this is something I heard
hold on,
recently.
if Jesus showed, I think the general feel at man camp, if Jesus showed up, they would just melt. If he was like, "What up, pussies?" Like. And then just would be like, "Enter me, Lord Jesus. Fill me up." Like,
Come inside me.
come inside me.
Yeah.
Euphemism.
Oh man, like seriously, like, but if Jesus showed up at man camp, this we're talking about like a crossroads that church we used to go to, and like if Jesus showed up and said like "suck my dick," how long would that line be?
I think people. Oh my gosh! I think the funniest thing would be the people who are conflicted, but like they're just not in the way you would think. Like they'd be like, "Am I worthy?" Or like, "Do I believe enough?" Like, of my unbelief. Like, I'm not sure sucking his dick is the right move for me right now. It's kind of like taking communion. Like, do we do the Catholic route, or like I need to be all in and be like super Jesus boy to suck Jesus dick, right? And like. And you're like, there's a hierarchy, right? Like maybe I get him started, and then like the leader finishes. Like,
oh, hashtag literally crying.
but it's like okay,
fuck.
it's gross and graphic, right? But like it really works for kind of like the symbolism for like just how other things happened. There's a lot of like men's groups following Jesus that gets pervy.
I will say our current viewership is half of what it was when we started down this route. Not that that's saying much, but
Well, it's good for people to know where their breaking point is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're like, oh, I found the point where I'm no longer me if I keep going.
That's a fun point. Yeah.
You're welcome.
But and sorry, like if Kiff happens to be like one of the viewer left, this is what happens when you duck out like that.
Well, and there's a lot happening. I mean, we're not as bitter. You know, it's the whole forgiveness wave.
Sorry, I was just distracted. Like we just had like some lightning and thunder here.
I did hear that.
Ooh. Anyway, but yeah, so all that to say, like, yeah, if
there's a lot of stuff coming. Look at the radar. Sorry.
Cool, fun. But if the God of Christianity like turned out to be real, like, yeah, I do not think I could genuinely like love and worship and repent to, much less forgive him for all this. But
I mean, I think I would really be wrestling with like God is really Hebrew. Like why? I just want to be like, not. I don't mean this in an offensive way at all, but like it's like, why are you Jewish? Like,
yeah, why aren't you everybody-ish?
Right.
Yeah. Because
why are you so much like a regional pet deity?
Yeah, like literally, yeah. Maybe that could be its own episode, like just because like the more because that's what I said about this person who like reached out to me recently. It's like, oh, you just got to read the Bible and God will speak to you. And I said like, okay, the more have actually like studied the Bible now, like in a critical fashion, um, like the in like the completely like less divine and more very very human.
Yeah,
it all seems.
Which is kind of maybe on the right track, because I was just thinking about, if I want to worship anything, I want to worship the best in us. And that's kind of what humanism and a lot of just like secular people on the left especially are like. I just want to do what's best for everyone, and I want to keep doing that. I want to find out more about what that is. And that is something worth like whatever the version of worshiping is that like that doesn't keep us disconnected from it. Where you're like, oh, that's a thing, it's unobtainable, and it smiles on me, and now I feel good. And
yeah, which again, and this is another just about like very like person to person, very personal thing. It's like, yeah, to me, just the idea of worshiping anything, to me, even if it is something that is like truly like great and good, it's like,
and what does that mean to worship it?
Yeah,
I think there's a version, maybe I think there's possibly a version where it's not at your own expense.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the religious say, well, if it's not at your expense, then it's not really worship. Then like, okay, fine, but as all the apologists love to tell us, like we all worship something, Matt.
I was just thinking about how I was talking to my former therapist, and this is when I was still like, I think I wasn't fully deconstructed yet, and I said I would describe God as like, the way it was feeling at the time was that if God is a thing, it's the part of me that's also in everyone else. And then she was like, she's a Christian, and so she and she went like, she was like, huh, like she agreed with that, but was like, kind of like get connected with her, but she's also like, I don't have a place for that. I make sure Owen texted me and said he. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Something else I've heard is like people said like even just the idea of some kind of God that wanted to be worshipped. It's like just on that basis alone makes them seem like less deserving of worship. It's like you think of like a God again, like as described like by Christians and a lot of other religious people. It's like, why would they even feel like they need worship? Like if they are as great and like all powerful and self sufficient as they claim it is, like why would worship even be a thing?
I think it has positive effects on people, and we came up with a story about why that was true. I think it helps us connect with other people in a way we have a hard time doing when we're not doing some kind of protocol together.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, 'cause this is something like I definitely agree with the idea that obviously like religions and like beliefs in gods like developed in humanity for reasons, but it's like I just feel like it just feels like we just like should be at the point where we don't need that in order to do these things.
Oh, I think that's one of the things we're flipping on right now.
Hopefully, but
We're at like a major. We're at like a it's like a multipolar inflection point. Like there's so much shit happening at the same time. Like
Mhm.
Africa is coming into its own again after colonialism.
Yeah,
Like countries are emerging and they're kicking out the West and like kicking out Western militaries and stuff.
good.
Because they're like they're getting more stable and they're able to. It's not all super awesome. I mean, like some of the kicking out involves warlords doing it, but
Right.
it is a change, regardless. Um,
Hmm.
there's more and more people asking questions about Christianity. So much so that like Alex O'Connor and stuff, they're having like
Yeah.
uh, well-known apologists kind of either directly responding or like clearly trying to combat whatever they're saying.
Hmm.
Like Mormons, there's a whole like deconstructing Mormons thing on YouTube.
Hmm.
Yeah, like everything's ramping up, and the closer we get to AI, and it's just kind of like we're like hurtling towards some kind of oneness or something, and everybody's just losing their shit.
Yeah, understandably so.
Like we're hurtling towards being utterly connected.
Mm,
And
what a thought.
possibly through some kind of demigod that we invented but now rules us. It's like I am become meme, which is what Elon said, where he's like, "Oh, you're such a dick," but this, God, it's fucking true.
Right? Yeah.
Or like every like whatever polar opposite side you're on, like we all agree the worst case scenario is happening.
Oh, maybe that can bring us together.
We have a common enemy, the everything. And it goes back to like kill all your
Right?
gods, like because then everything is kind of like God. It's like
Yep.
God is like dying, but also like being reborn as
Hmm.
whatever science is getting to the bottom of,
Yeah, I guess.
and then
Hmm.
aliens and there's like probably crypto terrestrials, interdimensional beings, and extraterrestrial beings, and whatever the fuck used to live on the other side of the moon. And, like,
Well, just hey, and if there is also like you can think of this is a thought that just occurred to me is like if there is life out there somewhere, like we are extraterrestrial to somebody else.
that's true. That's
So,
true. So there it seems like there was something here that developed before us, or like made Earth its outpost at some point in the past. Um, it looks like that, like the little gray aliens have been here as long as we've been here, at least. And that's when we first started paying attention. So we don't know what happened before that.
hmm.
And so we could be on their planet. Uh, they do kind of treat us like they're zoo animals. Um, and like bag and tag us and like release us like with the implants and shit. Like there are legit people that have little metal implants, and at certain times they produce signals like they're communicating with something, and you can take like a little like electromagnetic like little tool, right, and like put it to their head, and it's like bleep, like and an implant that was removed from somebody, and now you're looking at me like this is like I don't know where to put this. It's
good.
an implant that they like looked at under a microscope, and it no, that's not what happened. That was something else. But they removed an implant, and like while they were trying to remove it, it like tried to get away. It's like, and then things that removed people's bodies that when they looked at them under a microscope, like the researcher who looked at it was like, I never want to see any of you ever again, and was like fucking done with whatever this is, and they just fucked off, like, and looked like they just like were like their brain, they were angry and scared, and it's like why do we need to get into the bottom of everything at the same time? Or we're going to see the best and worst of humanity kind of on full display, which is exactly what happens in wartime. Feels like a war is coming. Things are moving so fast, we might shoot right past the war. Like fascism might fizzle out just because like it can't ramp up faster than the resistance to it.
Ooh, that'd be good.
But it's anybody's guess because things have literally never moved this quickly before. Like we're going through like a decade or two of like political or cultural development in weeks. That's why it feels like 4 weeks started 10 years ago.
Yeah, roughly.
It's only a month. And we're already talking about a private army of 10,000 people to arrest immigrants, in quotes, to be detained at military bases, and the people who deliver them will be paid cash. We've capitalized the brown shirts. We're like, give me a brown shirt, and we'll pay you. Brown shirts are better than brown people. What?
So does that mean like something is peaked or bottomed? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Depends where you like it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, for several reasons, I feel like my brain's like nearing the end of its usefulness as far as any sort of conversation. But
yeah, I don't know. It's funny as hell, though.
Yay.
I mean, it's like if a penis was president.
Kind of is. Yeah.
Just such cocky dickhead.
Yerp.
So what's the opposite of long live the king? And will they get you put on a list?
I don't know, and yes.
Long live the king.
Yep.
I am the king. I am the law.
Yay.
Fuck him. It's a democracy. We are the law.
There you go. Yep. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm kind of done. Any closing thoughts?
That was abrupt.
Yeah. today's been a long year. So
I don't know. I think our things and stuff need to be forever with our people. So may your things and stuff be forever with your people.
yes, and thanks again for Kiff for hanging out with us as long as you could. You'll have to do it again sometime. Also, still haven't nailed down the date, but look forward to next month having Kyle Butler on, which I'm super excited about, and you should be too.
And
everybody.
So can you.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.